Calling her, or they
Yeah,
calling?
we're calling.
We're calling them.
Cool.
We might try to get Mike's people down first so they can get on back to, yeah, okay. Let's call the meeting to order. Minutes and reports received and filed.
I have the August 2015 sheriff fees filed, and then May, June, July, and August 2015 collector fees filed. That's all.
Commissioner Committee Liaison Reports, upcoming meetings, events.
Board of Realtors, Political and Economic Responsibility Committee meeting this afternoon. Board of Directors meeting for them tomorrow morning. Chamber Connections Thursday. NRA dinner Thursday night. Habitat Chicken dinner Friday at noon, and then Friday evening. That's about it. Till next meeting. What'd I miss?
Well, Thursday night you could do the NRA, you can do the Jeff City Fire Department has a barbecue, Cole County Republican Club. Saturday night's Clint Black for Safety Net or Angie Pelusa. And then Sunday is St. Michael's at Russellville's Fall Supper. Or the Historic City of Jefferson Home Tours. We got all kinds of stuff.
I think you guys pretty much covered it.
And then tonight is also CASA's basketball game that against the Harlem Ambassadors. Yeah, we could eat a lot this week if we go to everything.
Should be hunting instead.
There you go.
Forgot to mention that.
Hunting season,
Hunting season.
archery season.
So, yeah,
Meetings.
we could dress up as
Is that
Duck
one hunting
Dynasty
for you?
again. We'll all go hunt. Okay.
Do I have this number? Will you be mad if I
Okay.
call him right now?
Let's keep going. We got a 9:15 call.
Shiny object.
Bids and contracts, signing of contract from DHSS for school wellness. Christie.
This is just a small contract for one of our nurses to work with a couple of schools here in Cole County to help them with school wellness policies. We had 2 schools signed on, and one of them backed out, so we're trying to find another one. But it's $1,500 for the school, and then it's $5,000 for us for our staff time and resources to work with on wellness policies.
Good.
So if you know any small schools that would like to participate, let me know. But otherwise, I just need you to sign
We
the contract.
might have talked to the head of the school board in Russellville, maybe.
They're one that we're trying to get. They're
Yeah.
working on it.
Yeah.
We have
Okay.
2 nurses up there, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
But it's $1,500. So.
Okay.
yeah.
I'll tell 'em.
Any questions?
Might be able to strong arm her too.
Okay. Any questions?
Nope. Good job. Guess we need a motion to sign the contract from DHSS for school wellness projects. So I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Signing of amendment to the Maximus Consulting Service Agreement.
You guys actually already approved this way back, and they finally got their, as far as it was a $750 amendment to their contract to do that cost study on the jail. But it's a new contract, Joe's looked at it, so I just need you to approve that contract amendment.
I move we approve amendment 1 with Maximus Consulting Services Incorporated.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Signing of transit. Scare the crap out
I didn't do it. I swear.
I thought you were going over the
Signing-
edge there.
Signing of transaction confirmation with Constellation.
I'll put some safety bumpers up there.
Yeah, then we'd be tripping.
It's the gas that we're getting from that company for all of our buildings. Chris could probably explain it better. It's got the months and the breakdowns of how much we're going to.
So this is what we approved, the hedging, and we talked about this the last time. So we
Yeah,
just
we're
have to sign the
doing 6
contract.
months or something, then we'll go back and look at it. Yeah, I'm fine with that. You got a better grasp on that, so
Yeah.
if it doesn't work, I'll blame it on you.
There you go.
Or Sam.
I move we sign the contract with Constellation.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unfinished business? New business, accounts payable review?
This is the small run. This is just for the utilities and some bills that would be late. So I asked for approval of accounts payable.
You got one on there?
No, not
Okay.
this one.
Make a motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll skip the conference call, we'll go to Mike Sapp.
This is on a property on Old Ferry Road. I think I mistyped the actual address. This is located just off Route B at the Public Conservation Program access to the Osage River on the way out to St. Thomas. The property had, at the time of complaint, weeds were in excess of 12 inches. The pallet tanks that are in the steel frame or the aluminum frames were half full of water with mosquito larvae, and there's unlicensed vehicles on the property. Violations still present as of yesterday. There's still some minor solid waste on the property, and the unlicensed vehicles are there. They're all operational but one, and it's parked out on the roadway, and he's going to move that around to the side of the house in the next month to the side and cover it. There's still some recycling that needs to be hauled off, but he has got it all organized, and he has made tremendous progress. I don't want to not emphasize that enough. As I say, he has the one on an operational vehicle, but he's going to cover it, and he came up with a good plan on how to get that done in the next month, and the owner is here. So the county's health department's recommendation is to allow the property owner to continue to work on the property and clean the property on its own, and I expect the property should be in compliance within a month before it continues at the current rate on the remaining violations.
And you'll go back in a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys have anything to add, or?
I don't know, he was out of town, it was hard to get a hold of him, and I definitely want to get some contact
Okay.
information from him.
Okay.
So if we have violations in the future,
So I move that we give them 30 days.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty.
Thank
You're
you.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're still at 9:15 yet, so we will go to sale of used telephones. Dale?
Here is the bill of sale. We are selling 19 phones that are essentially useless to us, and they're offered to pay us $100 and shipping. So can't beat that. But actually, this is a company down in Chesterfield that I've been buying refurb phones instead of buying them new from Cisco, which are hundreds of dollars. These are like $75. So I've had real good luck with the company. So anyway, they're, like I said, once they're paying the shipping and everything, that's a significant. That's probably almost as much as what they're paying for. So, anyway.
That's kind of found money, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I was going to actually just trash them because they're, like I said, they're pretty much useless to us. And I just took a chance and called them, and they said they had a buyer and they'd be willing to give us that. So I thought it was worth.
See what else they'll
Yeah.
take.
Well, actually, there's
Yeah.
if we get the right stuff, there are people that will buy just about anything. So
Hmm.
we can get-
Would they buy a lot in Osage City? That Lewis and Clark went by.
Except that, yeah.
So I move that we approve the sale of used phones to CMS Communications and sign the contract.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah.
You guys need a copy of this before they CMS signs it?
There you are,
Okay,
sir.
thank you very much.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dale.
We'll keep going. CCW personnel.
Okay, thanks.
Cardinal County Collector. Sorry, Larry. I'm sorry.
I'm here this morning to present my annual settlement for the 2014, basically the 2014 tax year. The collective year runs from March 1st through February 28th. Our settlement is balanced. This shows that my charges were approximately $73 million. It is balanced, $68,811,183.26 of that we distributed. Some of that is delinquent taxes. We have some abatements, and we also have protested taxes that make up that total of the $73 million. And I need you all to approve this, then I give it to the clerk to put his official seal on it and send it to the state. One copy. And if you have any questions, I'm sure Kristen would be glad to answer them for you.
Well, there's the bus. But I did hear balance, so that's all I.
Yeah.
So we just need a
Any
motion
questions?
to approve. I don't have any questions.
I don't know.
So I'll make a motion, we approve the annual solid.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Let's go and do that phone call since
Yeah.
Greg's not here.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's everybody else here for?
Well, we got. You want to do the phone call
She
now?
doesn't care, let's just
Okay.
plow through it.
No.
Okay.
Needs to be dates put in it.
Would they mind if we?
After that's done, I need to get,
Huh?
I need to get a copy.
I mean, are we gonna?
All right, call.
You can be a little late, but.
Call him.
Call. Okay, we'll call.
Lynn,
Okay.
probably bring me a different one because this has got some
Why
cream.
don't you just get you a desk back there?
No, I don't want
We'll
no
be
desk
up there
back there.
someday.
Yeah, you could
Bossing
sit right
us
up here by
around.
Sam.
Yeah.
That don't cost you around too bad. No, that's just how it has to go.
Hello?
No, not yet.
The Gilmore Bell Always On Conferencing Center. For security purposes, please
Oops.
enter your passcode followed by the pound sign. Your passcode has been confirmed. Please wait while you are joined to the conference.
We're a minute
Please
early.
state your name and company now.
This is the Cole County Commission.
You should just made something up.
Thank you. The conference has not been initiated. You will be placed on hold until a chairperson arrives.
Okay.
Just let them know we're charging them for this.
There's your elevator music. And here we
So that's supposed to make you feel better listening to that?
calm you down.
Xanax will calm you down.
Let's go to something else.
Do we want to do the CCW?
Greg's not here.
Oh,
I already got mine,
Oh, Beth's
thanks.
here. You doing that? Okay.
yeah,
He spoke with all.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
He did. He did.
These are the numbers, and this would just be us taking one part-time position and making it full-time, and then adding a full-time position. The adding one would be in the jail, and the part-time to full-time would be in civil. And this would be handling all of the CCW registrations and fingerprinting. And the money would be coming out of our revolving fund that is brought in from CCW.
I was fine with it.
Yeah, I don't-
Talking to me about everything.
Yeah, I didn't have any
It's
problem.
money coming in from the CCW.
That's exactly what the revolving fund is there for.
Additional.
It's used to run that program. Right now, they have quite a large sum of money in there because they haven't spent a lot of it.
And they took on additional duties, so.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have any problem.
So
with
what?
it either.
So how much money's in there? I mean, how much money are we bringing in?
I can't tell you that right off the top of my head. I can tell you what's that for you.
So I mean, my only concern is that if that tends to drop off, and I mean, I know people have to renew that CCW, but at what point are we not bringing in enough income to cover the costs?
I think you're plenty at the moment, but let me get you
And I was good with the part-time going to full-time, but you said another full-time going to the jail. So,
Clerk's office, and they would be doing all of fingerprinting.
for the CCW
for
stuff.
CCW
Okay.
stuff.
Okay.
Victor can talk about that.
It's a entry-level jail clerk position, so it's, what, about 24,000 a year, a little over 24,000 a year, for an entry-level clerk position. And, we'll get them live scan certified, or hopefully we can find somebody maybe that's.
Hey,
live scan
Tony.
certified. And, we're processing.
Hello, can you hear me?
Sometimes
This
up
is
to
Jeff.
25, 30
Hold on a
fingerprints
second. We moved
day,
on without y'all.
Just for
Okay,
CCW.
hang on one second.
Okay.
So,
So I'm good with it. I mean, you got an approximate number, or,
I would say it's about 60,000 a year is
Okay.
what they're bringing in.
okay.
And like I said, we've probably been 2 years without hardly spending anything out of it, so.
There's a big lump sum in there, but it's very restricted on what we can use it for.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm okay with it. I mean, it's, you say 24,000, that's their pay, and then their benefits package
Would be
is on.
36,169.
Okay, total package. Okay. Good enough.
All right. Well, we got a motion to approve it?
We need a
Additional
transfer, or how are we doing that?
I'll have to do a transfer from part-time to full-time for the yellow line, and then we'll do a court order for the blue.
It'll be a check from sheriff revolving to law enforcement fund to increase the budget.
Okay, so we don't need a motion on that one. You just wanted to make sure that we were okay with it before you all went through and,
Yeah,
okay.
Okay,
I'm good with it.
we're good with it.
All
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
Go for
Thank
it.
you.
Okay, let's do Tony and Joy.
Think we still have you here. Are you still here?
Yes, yes,
Okay. You can hear us okay?
yeah, I can.
Okay, well, you have us, we're in session now, so you all can go ahead.
This is Joy. I think I should begin the discussion. Basically, I asked for this call to clarify the interim or construction financing for the NIS that you're looking at. We had some discussions that on the Randall Drive NIS that the county would provide the construction financing. And then since that time, I guess the county was approached by Parkview Meadows, and the question arose on that transaction whether or not he would require that group to get interim financing or whether the county would provide financing. The last I heard is that the county was concerned about providing the interim financing on that project, but I was concerned about having an inconsistency between the two since they're going to be initiated, at least it's my understanding they'll be initiated at about the same time. And since the county doesn't have a policy in place at this time as to how you're going to approach financing on NIS. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, the whole issue I'm raising.
Can we combine the two?
Ultimately, but that's later on. I think with that, we have the two phases of financing. One is the construction financing, which, as I understand, I think we're getting really close to commencing on Parkview. I don't know the status on the other one. And then once the two are finished, then you get permanent financing, which, it's my understanding, both cases would be 20-year financing. Most likely would go to the public market, and if they fall close enough together, yes, we could combine the two. But that's down the road. That would be sometime next year. So the real focus right now is just on this interim construction financing. Tony, do you want to clarify anything I said?
No, I think that's accurate. I think the sort of overarching theme here, though, of this discussion perhaps ought to be whether you all may feel that it's prudent at this point, since you've got two neighborhood improvement district projects being proposed here. I mean, if two come, you're likely to see more. And it might be prudent for you, honestly, to, develop some sort of policy on certain things relating to neighborhood improvement district projects. And keeping in mind that, neighborhood improvement district financings, unlike some of the other, what I call alphabet soup financings you may hear about, community improvement districts, transportation development districts, those other types of financings really create sort of in most cases, a separate political subdivision that, counties or cities may have some degree of control over, but they really are a separate entity. Neighborhood improvement districts are really just sort of, a line on a map that draws a boundary for an area that the county chooses to improve and then is able to assess through special assessments the cost of those improvements back against the properties that were benefited. And so it really is a county financing. I mean, it's absolutely the county's credit that's on the line, and you don't have the authority to go out and levy a specific tax for it like you would to repay general obligation bonds. But to the extent that the special assessments are ever insufficient to pay the debt service, the county would be obligated to come up with funds from other sources in order to pay the debt service. And so, it's your credit on the line here. And so these are the kinds of things that I think it would benefit you to think about. All right, so when someone submits a petition, let's just say that you had a petition submitted that no one, the folks who were submitting the petition had not contacted Larry or any of you. Just, they show up, they file a petition for a neighborhood improvement district with the county clerk's office. And so, once that is certified as having been sufficient by the clerk's office, then it comes to the commission for consideration. And so, you would not want to just sort of accept that and say, well, okay, I guess if these people are agreeing to, pay for this through special assessments, that, who are we to stand in their way? So we'll go ahead and authorize this to move forward. But the problem with that is that, let's say that they've underestimated the cost of the project, and that in fact they've not included anything in it for, I don't know, let's say engineering, or they've not included anything for financing costs. Well, once the project is complete, you can only assess back against those properties up to 125% of the petition amount. And so if the costs come in over that 125%, the county would be obligated to cover that. So, so far what has happened on Parkview Meadows and on Randall Drive is that those neighborhood improvement district projects petitions have come through Larry's office, where Larry and Eric and others have been able to have input into what the estimated cost of those road improvements would be, and then sort of passing that on through to Debbie's office, who in turn, got Joy on these projects in order to estimate what would be the financing costs involved, so that when you get a petition submitted, it's fairly certain that the petition amount would cover everything. And so you need to have that assurance when you accept a petition and agree to move forward that in fact all of that has happened. And so,
well, let me make sure that I understand that too, but we have the 25% that we can increase by post-petition.
Correct. Right. Right. That's the bonds and the assessments cannot exceed 125% of the petition amount. And so that's, that one thing that you all have already done is to essentially say, okay, well, to present this petition, we're going to require you, the petitioners, to pay this non-refundable $1,000, I think it was, that we have to pay Joy Howard in order to get some initial numbers run on this so that we know what the financing costs are going to be for you to put into your petition. So that was great and a very wise thing to do. And so now, kind of the next step is, are you going to have some type of a policy as to when, if ever, the county will agree to sort of self-finance during the construction period of these projects and then get paid back the construction costs and engineering and all of that when the long-term financing is entered into. Long-term financing can't be entered into until the projects are absolutely complete, and then the property owners have been given an opportunity to prepay their portion of the assessment without interest. So, and maybe what you want to do is say, okay, well, if the total project costs are not going to be more than X amount, we would have the ability and we would agree to self-finance that. But if it's more than X amount, you know, we can't commit the county's funds to that, and therefore those projects are going to have to, be financed outside of the county treasury for the construction period. So that's kind of where we are today with all this.
So can
So let me kind of just reiterate again. The discussion, as I understand it today, has been for the county to finance the Randall Drive project. I'm suggesting that whatever interim financing that you would use for Randall Drive, you would also use for Parkview Meadows, because you don't have a policy in place, and I think that the two of those coming together, they're relatively together time-wise, that the county needs to be consistent. So I would finance those two the same, whether you do that interim or require external financing like through a bank. And then moving forward, I would agree with Tony that you should get a policy in place. I'm totally qualified to draft that type of a policy for you.
Well, what's the difference in cost, though, between the Randall Drive and the Parkview Meadows?
The actual cost, excluding permanent costs, which would have like financing costs, and these are estimates that were given to me. The Randall Drive is approximately $331,000, and the Parkview Meadows is approximately $521,000. Now, going forward, you may not want to do anything out of the county funds, but again, since you have discussions about interim financing Randall Drive, I think the county should be consistent. If you did want to finance both of those out of county funds, it's my understanding that you were thinking about financing the Randall Drive out of the capital improvement sales tax, and possibly you're concerned as to whether or not there's enough money in there to do the second one. However, if you are comfortable enough with this project to move forward, actually that's the Parkview Drive, if you're comfortable with that moving forward, you definitely have sufficient money in the general fund, or you did as of December 31st, 2014. I don't have a current update. But you definitely had sufficient reserves to cover that cost. At the end of December 31st, 2014, your general fund unassigned balance was $10,819,000. I'm not sure where you are right now, but I'm assuming that this year would be comparable.
Tony, if I could, is there any liability to the county for doing the financing for construction? Let's say we get halfway through the construction and something goes awry and the landowners back out. Is there any liability there?
Well, once the Petition has been filed. It seemed to be sufficient as far as having the number of signatures and all that it's supposed to have, and the county determines to move forward. Then the only risk at that point is that the property cannot be assessed until the project is complete. And so where I have seen the risk in the past is that, in fact, the petition amount was not enough to cover all of the construction costs. And so you will know that before you start construction because you're going to bid the project out.
There's also financing risk, which is if you were to make these loans, but I don't know that the county can get rid of this risk. Tony can comment on this, but whatever interim financing you do, once you get to the point of getting the permanent financing, the 20-year financing, I'm looking at today's market. If you were going out with this today, I would have no problem getting you financing. But we don't know in 6 months from now what additional restrictions will be imposed on lenders in the tax-exempt market. There's always discussions about changes in tax exemption. We don't know what the Federal Reserve is going to do. I mean, theoretically, interest rates could go sky high. Nobody wants to do it. They don't like Cole County's credit. I can think of a million things that could make it not possible to get financing in the future, although none of them are very likely to present a risk. That risk is always there.
Well, when you say a risk that it wouldn't be possible to get the financing, it's hard for me to imagine that the county couldn't get the financing. It's a matter of what the interest rate's going to be. And the interest rate is passed on in the special assessments.
What benefit are we getting for taking on?
Unlikely, but that is truly a possibility.
What benefit are we getting for taking the risk as a county? Why would we want to be the Bank of Cole County? Why wouldn't we just borrow the money?
Well, I'm not sure that when you borrow the money that who assumes the risk if Tony, if they went to a bank, the bank expects to be taken out, and you can't get permanent financing? I think the county still is at risk then, isn't it? Because the county assumes the debt on the note. I don't think you can get rid of the risk of permanent financing. I think that what you need to know is that the risk is small.
And if, during the financing that we're doing, then we can charge interest on that? I mean, if I'm building a house, I get a construction loan, I pay interest on the construction loan before I get a regular mortgage after the construction's done. If we do the interim construction financing, are we able to charge for that loan?
No, not if the long-term financing is tax exempt.
Okay.
And the reason is because, you're the borrower, so you can't pay yourself interest and call that a capital expenditure. But if in fact a bank did the construction loan, then definitely the construction period interest rolls in as part of the project costs that get taken out with the long-term financing.
So we put our money in Central Bank and they loan us the money back and they get to charge us interest and it's our money. We're borrowing from ourselves.
Charging the NID, not charging us.
Well,
Yeah.
right. But,
Well, it is.
I mean, it's our money at Central Bank and they're loaning it back and
But
they're
even if
charging
we
us
loan it
interest.
out, we can't charge interest on it and make any money on it, right?
Right, I get that.
So,
We can't make it.
but the interest being paid on it's not being paid by us.
I think it comes down to whether you guys are willing to use the county budget money for this $850,000 expense on both of these, or let the NID do it, let them refinance.
I don't
the
see any
construction.
benefit in doing it is where I'm at. Why would we do that, I guess?
Why would the county do it?
Yeah.
Well, if you do it on the two that you have in front of you right now, it would strictly be an accommodation.
Okay.
And I don't know much about these projects, but if you look at these projects and you think these are important projects that have a public benefit, it certainly is a justifiable cost, depending on how you feel about the project.
Tony, the question on the 25% overrun, is the interest rate that's included, say the interest does go up, is that included in that 25% as far as overruns, or is that
No.
separate? That's separate, okay.
The petition amount plus the 25%, that is principal. So the principal amount of the long-term financing and the total actual project costs, cannot exceed the 125%.
Okay, so that'd just be the
So
income.
interest is on top of that. The long-term interest, of course, the capital, if you capitalize interest during the construction period, of course, that has to fall within that.
So my assumption would be that if you started, for example, the Parkview Meadows project, and you're 6 months into it, you've already spent $505,000, which is basically the project budget, and the project isn't completed. If the county had financed it, then most likely the county's going to put up additional money to finish it. If you said, no, the county's not going to finance it, and it went to a bank, then basically the county's going to go to a bank, back to the initial bank and say, can you lend an additional X amount? Now, Tony, what I don't know from a legal perspective, because I've seen this sliced and diced all sorts of different ways, if the bank came back and said, no, we're not going to lend anymore, what happens at that point? Now, I'm talking about anything over the original budget, but within that 25%. Did you follow
Well,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying?
you could get a loan from someplace else, I suppose.
Correct, but at the end of the day, if you can't, does the county have to finance that difference?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify.
I mean, the thing to keep in mind on these, again, is even though it's called a neighborhood improvement district, it's really just it's a county project, and it's a way for you to assess the final cost against those property owners, but otherwise, it's a county project. As soon as you let a construction contract on this, you are absolutely required as the county to pay the costs of that. And so the idea being that you want to make sure that you don't stick your neck out there too far, because you want to be able to assess all of this back against the property owners who petitioned for it in the first place.
So what?
And I think that's important. That's what the way
I
Tony
hate conference
expressed it.
calls.
It is a
I hate conference
project
calls.
that's supposed to be a benefit not only to the people located in a particular area, but the county is offering a benefit, which isn't really any different than if you decided to go out and finance a street improvement out of county funds.
So I think earlier, Debbie had asked part of the question relating to what the risk might be if the county self-financed or frankly just moves forward with the project. What happens, for example, if some property owner just decides that they don't want to pay it. Well, once that petition has been filed, the only way a property owner is going to be able to challenge this and essentially pull out is to prove that their property is not benefited by the improvement. And so a street project, if these properties all abut the street and they don't have another way to get public access, they are benefited, pure and simple.
But if a property
Now-
actually sells in between time before we can get the lien placed on that property, and we're in the middle of this, is that somewhat of a issue at some point? And the new owners didn't agree to this petition?
Once the petition is filed, then those properties are all going to be essentially subject to the special assessment. Now, technically, if the property sells between the time the petition is filed and when the assessments are made, then again, we just have to make sure that notice is given to the true record owner of the property, and that, that party has the right to come in and I guess make a case that their property was not benefited. But that's going to be an extremely difficult case for them to make, as long as we have, in fact, kind of done our due diligence on the front end of this to make sure that we believe that we can argue successfully that all
I
of
got
these
several.
properties are going to be benefited.
Hey, Chris, ask some questions if y'all got a second.
Sure.
So can you go through the costs associated, the construction costs on Parkview's $521,000. What's this cost of selling the construction bonds, and what's the cost of the final bonds?
I did send some numbers to Debbie.
Okay.
And I'm going to resend today. I noticed in my title, instead of typing Parkview, I said Parkview. And also on the disbursement of funds, I noted the construction financing as coming from the county, and it should have reflected potentially a bank loan. So I've got a few cleanups there. But to answer your question, one of the things I want to mention has to do with what was just responded to, which is once you get the permanent financing as far as ongoing risk, party can always not pay an assessment, just like when you levy a property tax. And the county would have to go through the process to collect those taxes. And it's my understanding that the process can take 2 to 3 years, just like on a property tax. So in any event, one of the costs that's built into the numbers that I presented to Debbie is both for Parkview and for Randall. I've included a 1-year debt service reserve. So if there were late assessments, there's a fund that the county could draw against, so that going forward, you wouldn't be drawing against the general fund or any other fund. So, Debbie, do you have those numbers available?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got them here.
Okay, so I'm on the second page. That reserve fund is the $47,700.
Okay.
The cost of issuance, you should have both how I came up with these numbers and what it is at $38,000. That should be kind of a worst case scenario. It makes an assumption that Tony has to go through 2 sets of documents, which is the construction financing and permanent financing. If the county funded the cost of issuance, funded the interim financing, that cost goes down by, I think it was like $6,500. Is that correct, Tony?
Yeah, that sounds
More or
right.
less. I mean, basically, the cost goes way down if the county provides the interim financing. And then once we go up for permanent financing, you'll notice that at the top I included an underwriter's discount. I assume 2.75%. That's a very high discount. Generally, like when you all did the certificates of participation for the deal without me going back and looking it up, the discounts were probably under 1.5%. But on real small loans like this, I often find like a minimum price of like $15,000 of underwriter's fees. So
Okay.
that's how I came up with that figure.
So basically, $31,520 was the cost to do both bond sales.
No, I'm not sure what you're looking at, but that
Page-
38,025 was just for one.
Well, on page
No.
one, you got 31,520 estimated cost of issuance. Is that for just one bond sale?
Oh, you must be looking at an old set. I sent an updated set. It should show 38,020.
Okay, okay. But is that for one or is that for two?
That is just for one. So, for the,
So we'd have to add that in there twice?
well, it's a little bit less on the other one because it's a slightly smaller issue, but more or less, yeah, 2 times. Unless we can blend the two together, then you would have, the rating fees would only be incurred one time. That would be the main difference, would be the rating fee would go way down.
So, okay.
I am totally confused right
Yeah.
now.
Well, the cost of issuing the bonds is 38,000 roughly, and some change. So, I mean, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, and that's on Parkview,
right.
and that's assuming that there would be a short-term construction loan that we would need to be involved with, with the bank. And so the cost on Randall Drive, I don't have those pulled up.
That's what I was saying. I've estimated those at 27,815.
Yeah,
Less because I had assumed that the county was providing the financing, and it looks like that was the main difference.
So now I'm confused. Are we so Parkview Meadows, just Parkview Meadows, no Randall Drive?
Okay.
Are we selling bonds twice? Are we selling bonds for a construction phase and then bonds for a final
what I
phase?
recall. That's what you all need to make an assumption on. The 38,000 makes an assumption that there's interim financing through a bank and permanent financing through a regular underwriting. If you do your own construction financing, the county provides the interim. I think that's the numbers that you were looking at, where you see the 31,000.
Okay. But if we don't do the financing, are we going to have that $38,000 in there twice?
No, that is all inclusive, both short term and long.
Okay.
Assuming that the short term is just, a note with the bank.
Okay.
So I misunderstood you. I thought you were talking about the two different NID bonds being
Right.
put together.
No, that's fine. But where's the interest being charged from the bank then?
Okay, that's on the second page, and that's what I'm saying. I misclassified. It says reimbursement to the county. That's not correct because this assumes a bank loan, so it should say reimbursement to the bank for interest paid on the notes. You should be seeing
Okay.
15,174.
15,000. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So then my other question is that I'm concerned about the 25%, because we haven't done any engineering, we don't have any geotechnical done, and we're estimating based on site conditions, basically. Is that right, Larry? I mean,
Visible site conditions.
I mean, we don't know what's there. I mean, we could hit a disaster, and 25%. I mean, we're talking $125,000. That could be a drop in the bucket. I mean, if somebody really did something shoddy, and all of a sudden we get into it. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it could. I mean, a $500,000 project could go up to $1 million pretty easy.
Well, and frankly, I mean, those are some of the risks that we need to be talking about, and especially with respect to establishing policies.
I haven't signed.
the county, even before you put this out for bid, as you know, you're going to have fairly significant engineering fees involved in doing what you're just describing, the testing and all of the engineering, drawing up the plans and specs so that it can be bid out. And so, I mean, you all have a neighboring county there who I worked with a year or so ago. They had been presented a petition, which frankly didn't, it just got presented. And it turned out that when they went through the process of bidding the project out, the bids were in excess of what the 125% would have been. And so the project did not move forward. On the other hand, the county ended up eating a very significant dollar amount of engineering fees for the planning phase. Because you can't assess that against the property owners if the project doesn't get.
Well, how much are we guessing or maybe you don't even know this, how much do you guess the initial engineering would cost?
$15,000.
15,000.
Okay. So I think maybe that's the way, one of the ways of looking at it is does this project have enough merit that the county would be willing to spend $15,000 to do the initial engineering? And Tony, I haven't had a project that had any problems, so I'm not in a good position to talk about this, but can the county wait to do like its own engineering before the petition is approved? Or once they get the petition, is there a time frame when they have to accept it or reject it?
There might be under the statute now. I'm not sure. There never was before. But whether you accept the petition or not, frankly, accepting the petition doesn't obligate you to do anything other than, start preparing plans and specifications. So you don't have to actually proceed with the project until the plans and specs are totally complete, and then you decide we're going to proceed with the project or we're not.
So if they did that, if they started the process and figured out that the petition amount wasn't accurate and that they didn't want to proceed on that basis, can't they go back to the petitioner and say, we don't agree with your figure, re-petition?
Oh, absolutely. But like I said, I mean, that's essentially what happened in the neighboring county, and the petitioners weren't able to get sufficient signatures again on the petition.
Right, so at that initial phase, the question is really, I think what I said, how much is it going to cost, and is the county willing to assume the risk of the initial engineering?
So even after the project is bid and it comes in way over budget, we can walk away.
You can.
Yeah.
And at that point, what you lose
Is engineering costs.
the engineering.
Okay. Okay.
And then I guess even that engineering phase, I assume that falls under that same kind of question that Tony and I are raising about county financing versus bank financing. I assume that you could go to a bank and say, we're planning on doing this NID, we need to enter into a loan that's going to be kind of like a line of credit for up to $500,000. And you could draw down for engineering. Tell me if I'm right or wrong, Tony, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, alternatively, you could just decide, okay, at this point in time, we agree we're going to finance out of our own funds the engineering. And then we could address interim financing for the rest of the construction once you decide whether or not you're even going to move forward.
I think maybe we're going to have to do a little discussing whether we want to. What is the benefit of us doing the financing?
Well, the benefit is again, the benefit from a public policy perspective is this a valuable project where, infrastructure? Are you improving streets or doing
It's like doing
something
any other
that the
county road.
as a governmental body should be doing for public
It's
purposes?
like doing any other county.
Yeah.
From
like paving a road? I mean,
Who
what's
lives
the
in the
benefit?
subdivisions or who benefits from lowering the assessment is the other side of it, which is if the county
Right.
provides the
But they
interim
live in the county,
financing,
right?
you're lowering the assessment cost and making it more possible for the project to go through and helping the people that pay the assessment.
Okay. I think probably we're gonna have to kind of, yeah, we'll get back to you, because now you,
And that works, because what I'm going to do after I get off the phone, although it may be later today, I'm going to send you updated schedules for both Randall and for Parkview to clean up, like I said, that typo error I have, but also to make sure that we're all talking about the same thing. And the main thing is until you get a policy in place, the major point of this phone call, from my perspective, was to make sure that you were consistent.
okay.
Well, I understand your point with consistency, but there's always exceptions to the rules. So, you know, what if it's a really small project that costs?
Well, that might be something you would spell out in your policy.
Yeah. True. So,
I gotta tell you, with neighborhood improvement districts, my experience is that there are many, many ways that counties and cities handle these issues and other issues in connection with the neighborhood improvement district. And, you know, the policies or lack of policies and just the actual practices are really all over the board. So it's not like there's a right or a wrong way of doing it. It's just whatever you feel comfortable with. And like Joyce said, I mean, I think that obviously it makes some sense to have not, if you don't have consistency, that you have something to indicate, you know, why you're treating one differently than the other, and just so that everybody has expectations out there. I mean, there are some counties out there who, frankly, even though the statute only requires 2/3 of the acreage to be represented in the petition, some counties require a higher percentage, just trying to, you know, mitigate the political backlash that comes from the 2/3 or the 1/3 that weren't in favor of the petition, but their property gets assessed anyway because, you know, the 2/3 was met. So there are all kinds of things that, you know, you can address in these policies. So just let us know
Okay.
if we can help.
Yep, we'll get back to you. Thank you very
okay,
much.
thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, take care.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Okay. Law enforcement garage door repair. Let's go to something exciting.
Oh, yeah, I'll make sure of that.
Let's go.
Did you get all that? You gotta do that in 15 words or less, though.
Mr. Camp?
As of our meeting Friday with Commissioner Shepley and Mr. Button, got prices back roughly for the doors
You want
we
him
had
to come
talked
up
about federal, between 50 and
Yeah, hey, come on up and use the,
slide here.
yeah.
Got the prices back for the doors that we had discussed with Victor and Sheriff White. $50,000 to $60,000 for those doors, which I'm assuming that's probably out of our budget. Doug is going to come back today or tomorrow, pull the covers off those doors and measure up the barrel to see what price he can get on those for a bigger spring and a longer life. And that's where we're at.
So he's going to look at the existing doors?
Yep.
The roll-up doors that were talked about can't go in, right?
No, not enough headroom.
Because of all the plumbing and
Just
ductwork
the
and
plumbing, ductwork, and the rafters that are up there. Not enough headroom to put them in.
So as I looked at that pamphlet that you sent, that data sheet or whatnot,
That's what they have at the federal building that Sheriff White and
so it didn't have a lot of the details on it, but it looked like it was a springless door.
Correct.
Did not have a spring in it.
correct.
And so probably the difference between what we bought and what they have is probably a much better door.
Correct.
Once again, we got lowest and best.
We're also looking at a set of doors.
Well,
Similar
either.
to what St. Louis County
Depends
or
on
St.
what's
Louis
being
City
used for.
has
It's
on
being
their
used to
facility.
walk out,
But
get a
their
cigarette.
folks have not,
Right.
they're very hard to get a hold of over there in St. Louis, extremely difficult. So we're trying to get a manufacturer name and stuff, and they're for doors that don't roll up. They, almost like a closet door, they slide open, like a folding door almost, but they don't have all the springs and everything in them. They just follow a track and open and close like so. But we don't have any clue what that might cost in comparison to the other stuff.
Well, we need something that's gonna hold up. I didn't realize you had that much in and out traffic.
So, one of the things that we talked about was trying to get a walkout door cut in over by
Correct.
going out to the dumpster for the kitchen staff.
Correct.
And I mean, I'd like to see us do that because I think that's stupid to roll up a door so we can take the trash out, and then do whatever we need to do with the vent for that. But anyway, I don't know where are we at with being able to make a decision on what we need to do to get this fixed. I mean, do we need to spend the money to get this other door fixed and then figure out what we're going to do, or?
I'm waiting to see what price Doug comes back with on the barrel with a bigger spring and a longer lifetime.
So now he's saying he can work on this door?
He is going to try to work with Raynor, which is his manufacturer, to see if they can get a barrel for that door.
Okay.
Yeah, that would probably be the easiest thing, and then you've got to.
That's the other option we
Yeah.
have, if they can get one.
So Victor, are you
If-
still checking on those doors in St. Louis then, or?
We're waiting to hear back, we're reaching out to their jail facility there and trying to get their folks to hook us up with the right person to get us the information. It probably would be quicker for me to drive there and just ask them if I can take a picture of the data label on it, quite frankly, because these folks are really hard to.
We need to
communicate
get this done, because I want to get the ambulance back in there, and,
with. Yeah, but that's just another option.
yeah. So when's Doug gonna get back to us?
He is hoping to be over there today to take it apart and measure stuff up.
So basically, I got two options. We can fix the door that's there, right?
Correct.
Or we can replace the door, which is probably going to take 2 months
Probably.
by the time they order it and get
Time
it.
they order it and install it.
Yep. So, I mean, I'm okay with letting Doug take a look at it, but I think we need to expedite it. At least that
Doug,
one.
too.
At least the
Yeah.
one. I mean, we need to make a decision on both, I guess. But so I mean, it looks like we're stuck with trying to fix it.
Oh, we only got one door working right now, and that's basically the same motor and
means
everything as the
it's-
one that shot the craps.
Which means it's opening and closing twice as much.
Yeah, twice as much. So,
Because it's got
yeah,
electric
we're
in it.
kind of on borrowed time. That one could just end up going kaput too, and then we really would be in trouble.
Well, has that one had the springs replaced in it?
No,
No?
but I gave you a price for it. Yeah. Yeah.
So Doug's going to get over there today, tomorrow.
He said he would try to get over here today, when I talked to him yesterday afternoon.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess if he gets us an answer, maybe we could have a meeting later this week to get something moving.
Just to get
Just a
going
quick
on
meeting.
that. Yeah.
You got any other questions, Jeff?
What was the status? I guess I lost my thought or something when we were talking about the walkout door. Are we still looking at that?
Yes, I've got a contractor coming by this week to see what's.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think
we need to
look
put
at
that, we
that
need to put
anyway.
that in.
Right.
That-
Are y'all all right with that, Vic?
I have no problem with it. It'll reduce the number of times the door goes up and down, which will extend the life of the door. I'm guesstimating, well, the trash goes out a couple of times, 3, 4, 5 times a day, you know, plus walk in and out traffic stuff. I'm estimating that door would probably save us, you know, 15 to 20 cycles on that roll-up door a day. So I'm sure it would be worth. Now, the thing you have to remember is, if you install that door there, it's gonna have to also be attached to the jail security system. So you're not only gonna have the cost of the installation of the door, they're gonna have to run a new, control
Run as a
card for that
secure
door,
area, that's
wire
what I was
into it.
wondering.
You know, the lock mechanism on that door is probably gonna run probably in the neighborhood of $1,000, just to install the hardware lock on it, if not more. Plus the wiring to connect it to the jail security system, so there's gonna be some cost associated with that.
Okay, so y'all are working on getting a price together. That's all I had.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, let's try to get it done as quickly as we can.
Okay.
Okay. Generator discussion for courthouse building.
From accurate.
Okay,
Yeah, that's what we
well,
need.
I actually put that on the agenda. I know, when we moved Dale down to the basement, you know, he had the red wires, the red plug-ins that we plugged all his stuff into. And when the jail moved out, they had the generator within the old jail. And there was some issues about it not working then. I don't think it's working now, but I'll let, you guys speak on that.
It starts and runs. Now, whether it's loads after the sparks flew out of it, I don't know. I don't want to take that chance of flipping the switch and,
Yeah, Wheeler told me that it hadn't been checked in a long time, and he didn't even know if it ran. But we've never tested it, and I don't have a good feeling to just randomly go and test it with everything hanging on it.
Yeah, as old that is, it may not be clean.
Well, he was saying that there's vents that open and everything else for airflow, and that they don't open, and stuff like that, so it sounds like there's a lot of, even if the generator does run, the physical location has got issues that keeps it running. So I don't know, I was never part of it, but I know that they used to do a weekly test on it, and that has not been done in, I don't know how long. It's, you know, Wheeler had all the information, or he was telling me about it, so that's why I expressed concern that we've got all the
Tried to start
computers
it last week,
basically.
right?
it runs.
And it runs.
Well, Jim's doing that generator maintenance deal.
Well, that's why I wanted to bring it up at the same time as what she was looking at, that we don't have maintenance on it. I would like to know, want you guys to be aware, it probably doesn't work right now, that we wanted to get somebody in here to figure out what it would take, if it's worth it, or if we just need to go look somewhere different for a generator within the courthouse, because it does house all of our computers, it does house all of the phones. That would be the major thing in this building if electricity would go down.
Yeah.
It's security, I mean.
The sheriff mentioned that he would, if we don't put a new generator in there, at a minimum, we should transfer the phone operating equipment over to the new facility, because it'll be backed up by that generator, because if we lose phones, then we lose communication operations for the sheriff's department.
Ditto.
Okay.
And which Larry said, that does bring up that fuel tank out front, because in turn, I understand that fuel tank is the one that feeds that generator.
Right.
We do have that tested once a year, and we do insure that, but again, I don't know how much gas is in there. Diesel, sorry.
Diesel, there's not much.
200?
Fuel tank.
They're going to 3,200, I think it's the last reading I remember reading, it was 3,200 left in there.
Yeah, it's a big tank.
So, would you like to direct Greg to maybe check into that generator there, see if it's worth it? I mean, that is old, I can't imagine how old that is in there.
70s.
I was gonna say, it's been there a long time, when I was still deputy.
That's a long time ago.
Over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So the only thing of importance is the servers, basically.
Yeah, the phone system.
The phone system, and not to interrupt Dale, but it is mission critical to I and Victor. And if you lose power up here and that phone goes down, it kills our connection with Jeff Central. And everything we do on a 911 emergency basis is done. There's no easy way to put it, but it is absolutely mission critical. If you lose power, you gotta have a backup somewhere for something.
And we do have UPS, but that's, you're talking about minutes
Minutes,
versus,
yeah.
versus long-term, so.
So here was-
If Jeff City loses power, which it does frequently, then, you know, as long as it's back up in a reasonable time, we're okay. But if it's not, then that's what that's why you have a generator for long-term.
Irrespective of the age of the generator, you're gonna have to have something, either new or replace, whatever, you're gonna have to have something. Because it hamstrings two very important.
That, from my understanding, that generator only provided power to that first floor of the old courthouse. I do not believe that it gave backup power to anything above that.
Yeah, we had some stuff up on the fifth floor too.
Up on the
but-
fifth floor.
but There's nothing, there's nothing plugged
Well,
into
nothing
it, or
there.
maybe a switch or something.
But we have Jen on, kind of looking at all this maintenance,
Yeah.
take a look at it.
And again, Jennifer's bidding out the maintenance as far as on the
All
generator
fixed generator.
in all the other buildings.
That generator was not included in any of the
No, it
bid
was
specs.
not.
So if it needs to be included, we need to let Jennifer know, because she's gonna have to put out an addendum to all the bidders and then give them an opportunity to come look at that, because we did the bid meet this morning, and they're going around the county right now looking at the generators that are included in the bid.
Call when she has
I
one.
just
That
don't
is
think
not
that
one
was
of them.
worth maintenance yet, because I don't know if it really actually works, you know, as far as that
Well,
goes.
they'll tell pretty quick.
So,
I guess my concern is that it's probably a generator that runs a whole lot more than what it needs to. It sounds to me like it needs to run the servers and the phone. And beyond that, we could plug in, Bill could bring us a
Well,
generator.
yeah, I don't think I mean, from my perspective, we don't need a huge generator to run, but we need something long-term, you know. Probably don't need anything near as big as it is right now, but
Right.
that's, I don't know how you size, you know, what size generators there are, or.
Well, they could
we're not gonna go
load,
buy
they
a
could
whole
load
lot.
test the servers for the computers and phone, right? And then they could size it.
Clean 6 measures.
Yeah, that's all we need, is just that.
Yeah, it's gotta put out it's gotta put out 208.
Is there a way to get the other one out and put a new one in if we decided to go that route?
that, there's a set of double doors right there on the corner. They open up, and then there's venting around it. They're supposed to automatically spring open when that generator fires up to allow intake and exhaust. They don't spring open like they're supposed to. Those doors are just so old. So if you had to pull that generator system out to put another one in, that would be the access point.
But essentially, I think it's just been neglected ever since it's, you know, out of sight, out of mind. Once they moved across the street, that was the end of it.
Well, if it goes back to the 70s, we're on borrowed
Yeah.
time.
Well, it was neglected.
There's a lot
prior to
of,
that.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things in that building over there. I mean, the air handlers, where we moved from were the 1980. That was the air handlers that cooled the computers and stuff.
I think you have no time, if it goes out
Yeah,
an hour from
yeah,
now, there's nothing
yeah.
to maintain the comm hook between Victor and I with the courthouse, so, yeah.
We have UPSs that will work for hours, or I forget how.
Well,
Minutes.
I would say an hour would be pretty generous, but that, it'd be around there, yeah. I mean,
We're Bill getting something up here and on the fly, we get stuff going.
yeah, and that does the other thing too is all the communications to all the buildings go down because it's all run out of the downstairs. All the fiber comes in and that connects all the remote sites, so Public Works would be dead. Their phones are, I mean, everybody's phone, but also the internet would be dead.
Not to throw a grenade, but, yeah, that's where we're at.
I'd be glad to work with Greg on it.
Yeah, that's,
Because you have no time whatsoever. We are at the mercy of you.
You say that's not a world living?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Expenditures are still open.
Yeah. I think before we go further with this, we need to close this and talk about this in closed session.
okay. Okay.
So, I mean, we can definitely have Greg look at the generator and see what we need to do, but since it's talking about all our communications, I think should talk about it in closed session, so.
Okay, we will do that.
subsection 19.
Well, we can put it on another agenda, but.
Maybe if we get some more information, then we'll put it on the next agenda.
Okay.
There you go. We'll comply, Jeff.
Okay. We'll just pray, light candles, do all this other stuff, that'll keep running. Okay, then let's do discussion of alarm and motion detector system at the EMA building.
Right, I kind of brought this up when they came around looking at the building before, when they did the bids. I was under the assumption that was the total package. I later finding out that was just for our keypad entry. That was not included in our Sonatrol system on the EMA side of the building. We had all the county clerk records and all the circuit court records. So my idea was looking at that, if this is just a keypad, I mean, that wasn't just a swipe card. That did not include any intrusion alarm into our building. So that's kind of what I brought up to Debbie to see what we were paying now, or do we need to rebid that? But when I had Jennifer, who had worked with Scott Grunion from Precision Security, he told us, yes, that spec was just for that entry card swipe system only. I feel very adamant that I think building out there still needs motion detectors and everything in there. I mean, there's, not besides the county record, there's well over $2 million worth of equipment in that side of the building. And if we did away with any kind of motion detectors all in there, we would never know if someone broke in the back of that building in the middle of the night, stole equipment, or if somebody was in the building. I think Mike and I both are very favorable. If we want to leave Sonatrol, fine, but we need to look at something else on there. I talked to Larry Vincent, and then they have Sonatrol down there as well. There's been some issues in the past as far as dollar-wise, but I just think it's very important, and I know that was a big thing when the commission got into that building, to make sure that building was alarmed at all times after everybody leaves. So I just wanted to bring that back to the commission to take a look at that. We did get a letter from Scott Grunion that he could use a lot of that equipment that's already there, talking about installation cost of $964, $50 a month for the monitoring, which does include cell phone service and 24-hour testing.
That's not through Sonatrol though, that's through him, or?
That's him.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And
What do
Larry and
we-
them as well, I think, you might speak, Larry, I'd like to kind of do away and get just one system. Sonatrol, my biggest problem is the last time we had an issue with them, it took them almost 7 days to get a technician here to make the repair.
I thought that's what we bid. was
I
we
did
went
too.
out and looked at everything and all the needs of each building, so
That's
now
what
we
I
did.
totally thought too, until we went to look at that, and I said, no, that's just the swipe card entries into the building. That's when I got the question, wait a minute, what about the rest of the system? And I think you all would agree, I think there's enough importance in that building to have some type of security system in it, on our side at least, with county records and all the equipment that's in there.
We have difficulty making any kind of connection with Sonatrol also, there's issues, so.
Now, what else is here?
Didn't we just
I
award
know
it?
that we have
Huh?
besides.
Didn't we just award this?
Mm-hmm.
Just access.
It was just access.
Access
That was just
control.
I
access.
thought that was talking about what everybody wanted and needed for security, so.
I think we all thought that,
I did too.
Okay.
but it's just the card swipes on the doors, not the actual.
Well, it was more access control, being able to turn people off, allow people to come in,
Yeah, and I mean,
who
we-
can go where.
We've got that now. I just thought the
Right.
whole system, when I got to ask them, oh no, that just includes your
So
flight.
you
card,
talking
that's
about
it.
cameras and alarms?
I don't have no cameras. I have motion sensors and glass
Motion
breakers.
sensors.
Yeah, I think that's what most of them have
They-
nowadays, or maybe a door contact, and then they got the motion
I think
detectors.
EMS
Yeah, we are getting one camera and a front door access in the EMS, a striker, electronic striker camera, so you see who's knocking on the door. We've not had that since we've moved in. That's the only quote-unquote security that we are receiving. But from our standpoint, we have somebody in dispatch 24 hours a day, but you've got the missing wall and other things in the back that we may catch or we may not. But with Bill's equipment and the records and everything else that's stored in there, if we don't have some sort of accountability system or some sort of security measure that would activate.
What's the $50 a month for?
That's just your service.
Monitoring.
So now is your,
They monitor and they call if something activates.
is yours through Scott Grundon too? I mean,
They don't.
Right now, he's through Sonatrol.
you're through Sonatrol?
I don't have any security on my side of the grate. The other side of the grate has the Stanley system, I think's the company that's now Sonatrol system. We are just getting a camera and the electronic door strike from Mr. Grundon's
Okay.
system now. What Bill is talking about and Larry is not on Scott's bid at this time, so that's where we're at now.
Well, we're not talking Scott's. It's not Scott's bid. Scott was just a. It's
He did a
air-
proposal.
Right.
He did a proposal,
Yeah.
what he would
Right.
replace this system for.
But the contract was.
Forgive my verbiage there. His
He was
proposal
consultant.
just-
Yeah.
Right. The contract was through All Systems, or right.
The one who got the door access was,
Yeah.
through Door Systems, or I forget, out of Columbia, the
Right.
group, and that's
Right.
been awarded, and they're working on that. As far as what Bill went back to Scott to find out what he could do, or what, would help him.
Mhm.
So Scott actually gave him a proposal from his company
Mm-hmm.
to do
local.
that.
Yeah, and that's who you've got, you're getting
Which is
yours
local.
from, Mike, too, also, or?
Mine is coming, what she said.
Through the-
That first company, yeah.
Oh,
It's
okay,
All
okay,
Systems. I think
okay,
is who it
okay.
was. Yeah.
Forgive my verbiage there, I
Okay.
didn't mean to confuse everybody.
But as far as even in this building, the only other people that have, even the courthouse, all we have is access. We don't have security, we don't have monitoring. We talked about that when the sheriff moved out because there's nobody around 24/7. Hasn't been an issue, so we didn't go there. This building, the prosecutor, again, he just has cards to get in and out, so that was his security. But now downstairs, the inner doors, the recorder and the collector had different alarms or motion detectors.
Sonatrol.
That was not addressed at all. So if you want us to go back and have Jennifer do a bid for that security, at that security out there, we can do that. And then we can get another cost monthly.
I thought we were looking at all of that though, even Public Works, we've had places that have gotten
We were
robbed
gonna-
out there.
They have their own alarm system up
You
there,
do.
so we weren't gonna touch them when we put that bid together.
Again, if we could do it all through one, even if it's,
Even our cameras don't go through the same system, they're separate, the cords, we bid that, cameras were separate.
Mhm.
This is door access, and if we wanna go inside the doors then and pick different ones that need more security than others, we can bid that all together. But,
And this is actually the fire alarm system for this building also.
Right. Mhm.
And I don't know if you have a fire alarm system in the courthouse, but the annex does have a fire alarm system.
Temperature sensors.
Okay, so that would include two,
The outside the back of the annex, the maintenance storage facility has Sonatrol on it. And I know at one time, the clerk's storage facility that's on the other side had Sonatrol on it also.
and just to give you a little history, I know former commissioners thought it was good enough to get access security, and we secured our building. When other elected officials wanted to do more security for their little department, then they paid for that. And I do believe the collector did pay for that for a long time. The prosecutor pays for his extra security to get into his doors upstairs. So it's up to you guys, but how much security you need, you know how this goes. We have panic buttons. The panic buttons are no maintenance. They were a one-time purchase, and they go to the, I guess we should be talking about all those little concessions too, I don't know.
Yep.
But we do have that kind of stuff.
okay.
So it's up to you.
I just thought the last bid included all that. I thought we were addressing what everybody wanted and needed. We was gonna have access cards. You can get a camera for $300 and put a camera up if we need to have a camera somewhere. So I'm not gonna probably be for voting for $1,000 plus $50 a month on it. Unless there's something in there that you have to have.
Well,
I don't-
the cameras have nothing to do with the $50 a month monitoring
That's just if a window breaks or somebody
That's
comes
it.
in motion,
Right.
they call the police department, get somebody around.
Or there's a fire, or,
I'm talking about like an EMS building.
For camera
Okay,
for
that's,
door.
there's somebody there 24 hours a day. If you put cameras up somewhere, if something happens or something's missing, you can go back and look on the camera.
Well, I think Mike's big deal is somebody comes to their side of the door, punches a button, their dispatcher can see who's there, hit a button, unlock the door and let them in or not. That's what you're looking at, right?
Yeah, from where dispatch is now, you have that one access door where you can come in subsequent a garage door opening. When you ring that bell, the dispatcher at night cannot
Now,
see.
we're getting down in the weeds now. If we got everybody's wanting certain things in certain areas, we can look at doing that.
Yeah.
But if we just want
That's what
cameras
it is.
watching over equipment or in areas,
I thought Mike's was approved a long time ago.
Yeah, his was.
His is done.
That's-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his done. I mean,
I think we just need to concentrate on the.
we have less security in this room than we have anywhere. Shh,
Well, there's
don't
not
put that
much
in the
to
paper
lose
today.
here, so.
You're here a lot, buddy.
But that's why I brought it up. I was like Jeff, I thought this was the whole, because they literally walked all over our building when they came out and looked at it. So I just thought that was the whole system. But it's not, so if you want to leave it as it is, that's fine, with me. I don't know what we're paying Sonatrol a month.
I thought we got rid of Sonatrol.
Did I not cancel their contract?
I know
Because we're
when
waiting
we,
for the all systems to get theirs in, and then we're
Yeah.
done with Sonatrol, except for what's paid above and beyond what the commission takes care of, right? Larry's gonna still have Sonatrol?
Well, the problem, he can.
Yes or
He can if he
no?
wants. He can if he wants.
No, yes or no? He
He's
still
paying
has
for it.
Sonatrol.
But he's not paying for it right now.
Yes, he is paying for it.
He is. Okay.
So once all systems has theirs in, Larry's still gonna have a separate system above and beyond what our all systems that the commission is taking care of. Has got, yes or no?
That's, well, guess we're here asking you. If you want us to get away from Sonatrol, then we'll look to another company to get maybe better service and get these all together. Get this tied together with the.
Okay.
The
with all
Sonatrol
systems-
service now comes out of Kansas City, so that's what takes the longest is I don't know where you talk to
their main office in Michigan or Minnesota.
I don't know where you
Get all
talk, yeah, that's where
Stanley.
you're talking, yeah, you talk to people and they put in a work order, but it's.
So whenever we get all systems in, is Larry still gonna have a separate system of his own?
Just key access.
Yes or no?
Well, I don't, if it's all on one Sonatrol contract and you all are canceling the Sonatrol contract, I probably won't.
Yours is above and beyond, so that's a different,
But it's all together.
It's all together. It's not a separate contract.
It's not a separate system.
but you're paying for your part of it separate, so you can keep that part of the contract saying, well, y'all are getting rid of this stuff, but I still need this. I have billions of dollars that comes through here or whatever, or you got some kind of nice plan
I
on your
guess
desk
what
you
I
don't
would
want somebody to
say is
steal.
I would like to look at something locally rather than Sonatrol. If you all are
I'm fine
canceling
with
the
that.
contract, I don't have a problem paying for mine, but you also have maintenance stuff covered, you know, and Ralph has all the recorder's records covered. I think those things need to be by.
Okay, tomorrow,
Ray
if
can
all
talk
systems
on
has their
his.
stuff
Ralph can
installed,
talk on his, but you got hundreds of years old records that need to be protected.
if tomorrow we have all system stuff installed that we already approved, are you still gonna have your Sonatrol system and will the recorder's office have a separate system for the security of it? Ours is just the swipe that we were talking about apparently.
What,
Perimeter
nobody
access.
ever, I mean, this is the first time we've actually discussed this. Yes, I want to continue to have something. They'll have to speak to what their needs are, but I'll have something and I'll pay for it out of my tax maintenance fund.
We need to have a separate closed session meeting. What we're.
Well, I'm just asking, once all systems is in, why would you not have your other security stuff you've been paying for above and beyond anyway?
I don't want to use Sonatrol.
And,
That's
okay,
why.
I don't care if it's ABC Security Company,
Okay.
you're gonna have something above
I'm
and
going to
beyond.
have something. That
So-
doesn't address the entire building.
Okay, I wasn't just directing it at the Sonatrol thing, I'm just asking, y'all are gonna have something besides it was above and beyond what I thought the scope was for the all systems things.
Can I just
Where I'm at.
say that if I could get Jennifer to talk to these 3 departments and then to come up with some kind of specs.
Might as well talk to everybody, because otherwise we get done with these 3 departments and somebody else is gonna come in, well, they got security, why don't we get it?
Doesn't health have something too?
Yes.
Excuse me?
Doesn't health have something too?
Well, they're gonna have that.
I think they just alarm their refrigerator.
Yeah, they're not having no alarms.
Can we just
No,
get
they
some
have,
dogs?
health doesn't.
Didn't they have something else that monitored their refrigerators and
That's
Yeah,
what
stuff?
their refrigerators, they're
Yes,
only,
they did.
it's the only,
Well, yeah, but it's another system that monitors their refrigerators, right?
yeah.
And these systems do that with our one, big, room. Big one.
I'm good with it. Just, yeah, have Jennifer
It's-
get with the departments, bid it.
It's gonna get
If we can
bigger
get
than
somebody
what you
local,
want.
great. Kick Sonatrol to the curb. I'm good with that.
Stanley Security now. It's not-
Whatever.
They're the same ones who stand the sweep.
Stanley Security that doesn't show up or come when you call them. So,
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
okay. Okay, last Lower Bottom Road update.
Okay, since Jeff and I talked last week about this, it's actually started to progress. I had a phone call yesterday from the FEMA representative, and a while ago, when we were talking with Tony and Joy, they called back again, the pack for this area. So we should have a meeting within a week. It won't be our kickoff meeting, but we'll be able to get our questions answered as far as, whether or not we can bid alternates with it, and they'll cover a portion of the cost, that type of thing. Right now, we have the preliminary design completed. They came up with 4 different scenarios on ways to correct it. Some of them, the factor of safety is a little higher versus using natural clay fill. I think it was only like a 2.0 factor of safety, where if we use shot rock or geogrids, we can raise it up to around 3. What we proposed and talked to you in the past about is we'd like to bid an alternate, at least 1, maybe 2 alternates, so we can take advantage of the contractor's abilities and see what the cheapest price we can get. But hopefully Friday morning we'll be sitting down with Representative FEMA and maybe get this thing moving forward again. So our biggest problem in talking to the consultant, there's not a good, and I talked to Doug Otto this morning. He doesn't know of any quarry sites right around there close as far as where there's good limestone, so we'll probably be looking at trucking from either Just City or further south. So I'm open for any questions. Like I said, the biggest thing, best news is that FEMA called me yesterday, the main guy, and then the actual pack that's going to be in charge of this called me just a while ago, and we're trying to schedule a meeting this week. So once we get the meeting made with him, we'll be back, or at least let you know which direction we're going and how we're going to proceed.
Is there any way to do something temporary to it right now?
Doug called me about that, or asked about that this morning. Right now, the consultant doesn't recommend that. He said even though the rains quit, it might be stable for a short period of time. When the rains start up again this fall, he thinks any additional fill that we put on that area that slid off will just make it worse. It'll slide further down the hill, so we'd have more material. Temporary measures, if we want to do something temporary, that's where we'd have to install a series of French drains along the toe of that, excavating back in there and filling it with shot rock or a rock filter to be able to get the moisture out. That's what they found from the drilling, is that there's a circular surface that has got quite a bit of groundwater in it, and that's what's causing the material to slide. So if we want to do something temporary, it could get into quite a bit of money real quick. So
how deep would them drains have to go in?
they're
Like
talking
a curtain drain or something?
Yeah, something like a curtain drain. They're talking probably 14 feet plus.
Oh, wow.
So Friday, you have a meeting with FEMA, but that's still not the kickoff meeting.
No.
But
But
that's
if we
gonna
can-
tell us that we can start our action to decide, do we want 4 alternates? Because the
Right.
engineer's gonna cost.
Right.
for each
Yeah, we got
alternate
costs,
choose.
if we pick a final design, we could proceed right now and it wouldn't cost us any additional. If we want to bid an alternate, one would be approximately $5,000 where we have the final design plus an alternate. If we'd want to go with two, it'd be $7,500.
So one alternate's 5, 2 is 75?
Right.
Okay. It's not 5,000 per alternate
No,
or whatever?
no.
Okay.
And the actual fourth option, I don't think we're too keen on. It's called stone columns. That's where you drill piers and backfill it with rock. I don't think there's anybody here locally that can do that readily. The other three options, it's something that a local contractor can be able to do.
So after the meeting Friday, if we schedule a meeting for next week and see where we're at with it, can we decide?
Well, Jeff, to be honest, if he tells us, they probably wouldn't cover the alternate costs, we'll probably proceed. We'll just pick one and go.
Okay.
And or we could do that now. We could, possibly get the contractor or the consultant moving right now if you want us to go with the Shot Rock. That's kind of the old reliable. But we're still talking $400,000 to $500,000.
I just don't want to jeopardize getting the money from FEMA since we have
That's-
that online. That's a big
and
chunk.
that's what I talked to Bob Burke
Um,
this morning about, and he said that's wise on our part to be making sure that everything we're proposing to do will meet their requirements, so.
Are we gonna be able to do some kind of an emergency bid on it, or we're gonna have to do this the same
That
route?
would be something we'd probably have to talk to, I think under our policy, have to talk to Judge Joyce on, I think, if you declare it. In my opinion, they have access in both ways. I don't know, it might be a stretch to be able to declare an emergency.
Yeah, I was afraid of that.
It's not like
Okay.
someone's on an island out there, there's access in both ways, so.
I know, you hate telling them that, but,
And
because they
Larry,
feel like
we
it's the
don't
worst.
have the judges, it's the commission.
I thought under our emergency plan, I thought we still had to be able to
No,
use
it's
it.
not, the well,
Not what the statute, I think that's what the county policy
the
was.
county did that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Judge Joyce you have to meet with them. Declared emergency, I think that's an emergency plan that we had to get approved by FEMA and SEMA back.
Well, you guys might look into that.
Check,
so-
yeah, Jill, check on that.
All I'm aware of is the bidding, actual bidding
Right.
statute.
But I think by the plan that we had to submit to FEMA to be eligible for this stuff, I think that was a portion that they had us put in there when we did it.
78 county.
So-
Okay, so if we go ahead and say, let's go ahead and bid it the way you've got it drawn up now, are we decided to do that next week? And say we do have to bid it,
What he, though, and I don't.
what's gonna be the time frame at the
What he
earliest?
was saying, he could probably have final design on one alternate done in probably 2 to 3 weeks. Once we get it reviewed, say we have a week to review it, to get it out. At that point, once we decide to put it out for bid, we're looking at 45 days, 2-week project contract.
You gotta advertise 3 Sundays plus 10 days, it becomes about, give or take a month, from the time you start advertising to the time you open bids. Plus you got a little time to get you all to sign, get the contractor, knows to proceed, so 45 normal at best. But if we do an emergency contract or do something, if you all can approve something, we could turn it out in a couple weeks probably. And do an early notice to proceed.
Are they gonna build, even getting it now in a month, are they gonna be able to
It depends on the fall.
work on it?
It depends on the fall, Jeff. If we have a dry fall, yeah, it
Yeah,
can
I
be done.
understand that, but even getting to the spring, then you can't promise anything, I'm just
Right.
saying. So there is a possibility we could get started on it. How long do you think it'll take them to complete the project?
That, it depends on the process, of which one we choose. The geogrid's pretty labor intensive. The Shot Rock, it'd be a matter of removing. It's gotta be done in stages, what the consultant's telling us, because we're.
Which
doing-
one would take the longest? If you go with the one that would take the least amount of time, how long would it take?
I
2
would
months
have-
or?
I would say probably, yes.
And then if you went with the one that takes the longest, it's 3 months? Even if they
Possibly.
did?
I don't know. That's one thing I forgot to ask Bruce, and I can.
I'm not gonna hold you to certain dates.
I
I'm
would
just trying to
say-
look for answers to pass along.
Yeah, but let's do it the best so it doesn't
So,
happen again.
yeah.
We don't have to.
Well, no, that's what, it's gotta be removed in stages and brought up
Yeah.
in stages, because what they're concerned about is, we already repaired one slide when we were building the road, back in the 90s up above, and that's what they're wanting to make sure is we don't cause that to move down the hill too.
It's gonna be next year before it's done, no matter what.
One thing to think about, I mean, it's nice to push this along and get it all done, but with the summer that we had being real wet, these contractors are scrambling around trying to get things done. And I guess we could talk to some locals and see what their work schedule is, but I just have a feeling if we did this thing in a month or less, we're gonna get some pretty bad bids and be stuck with a really high price to fix something. That's where FEMA comes in, you know, how much are they gonna reimburse, you know, or do they agree with our timeline? There's a lot of little particulars we'll find out with FEMA, but, this is a bad time to be bidding, I think. Doing it over winter, you know, I know the property owners don't like it, but in reality, the best, you know, cost or the best value to the county is doing it when contractors are looking for work, probably beginning of the year.
Yeah, and it's hard to push it along. It's got alternate routes, so I mean, I understand their
Not a bad
frustration.
deal, but, you know, when we did Walnut Acre Grove Bridge, you know, we closed that thing well in advance of even being able to start construction on it, and it still took, you know, half a year to build, so the people that lived right on the other side had to go around for a long time. I mean, it's a real inconvenience, but, you know,
Well, my main concern is that we're not sitting here right now, not doing anything when we can be doing something. But the way I understand it, FEMA's kinda got us, they're kinda holding us right now by the throat. Cause if we go and we start doing something.
I mean, we don't have the funding to just go out and start it, so we're kind of stuck with whatever they're gonna come back with anyway.
We could dig down and make a dirt road out of it again.
Yeah, I mean, winter might not be a bad time to do a project like this though too. I mean, you know.
As long as it's not a real cold winter.
Right, I mean, as long as you're not dealing with frozen ground and everything
Yeah,
else,
You
I
wouldn't want to
mean,
be putting shot rock on frozen ground, but if it stayed fairly warm, and,
you could
know,
dig, if you could dig it out though and
Yeah.
get your rock in, I mean,
Right.
you could work all winter on it.
You could build temporary roads to shot rock and get it in there, you're correct, yes.
Mhm.
That's something we did, like I said, I don't wanna see us raise our costs dramatically just to try and get it open back up. But at the same time, understand the landowners' concerns down there.
I agree.
You know, I wanna get the best price for the county, and at the same time, as quickly as possible, get that road open back up for them.
I just wanted to get some answers so we have something to pass along. It's just like sometimes we don't get to give everybody the answers that they want.
Right.
But an answer is better than us sitting up here on our hands and not doing anything. So I appreciate what you've done so far with it. Just try to keep them moving and keep rattling their
Well, I
cages.
think Sam's called to,
Blunt,
Senator
Senator Blunt's.
Blunt's office, because they contacted me a couple weeks ago.
I gave him your cell phone. I said, yeah. Yeah.
FEMA's got it too, because that's what they've been
Yeah, but it
calling.
don't matter if FEMA sits there on their butts and not doing
Well, I
anything.
think, like I said, we can proceed forward. It just, with this much money, I just want to make sure we get the maximum reimbursement, because we're still on the hook for 25%, so it's still $100,000 that the county's going to have to pay.
And I do want to say Senator Blunt's office, that one Wednesday when we had that 3 inches of rain, at 9 o'clock in the morning, they called from his office offering to help us any way they could. And they've been
The thing is,
really good.
if we get the rock with FEMA now with their requirements, if we do a borrow site, we've got to do environmental impact studies on the borrow area. So we have to check for Indian or Native American artifacts. We've got to make sure there's everything's nothing endangered. The bats that we've got to do the whole 9 yards. But if we bring it out of a quarry, we don't have that. If we could have borrowed on site or close to it, it'd been a lot cheaper for us as to be able to shoot it and go. But that's something we'll be looking at in final design. Right now, at least what we're hearing from not only the consultant, but from people that live down there, they don't know of any good limestone ledges in that area. You have to go further south. We're right at the line of where the glaciers dropped off, so you have to get back on the other side of those Osage to be able to find a Jeff City limestone, which is the good rock around here. Ruby New's not that great a rock, so.
I might add, because Larry called me last Thursday, I went to Seaman, I met with Beth Freeman, who's the director for Region 7, and 2 of her people were there. Some of the biggest delay is just not FEMA. Region 7 covers 5 states. All 5 states had disasters, so they're scrambling to get those people in here from all over the United States to start these kickoff meetings, so they're really behind, and they know that, so. I guess maybe something didn't move, you got called.
But because they're behind, they're gonna tell us we gotta sit here and wait. We could be moving along with it and getting some bids and stuff, and
They know that, they're scrambling.
so if they just had some kind of, we were talking about policy a while ago, so if they got a policy and said, hey, you know, y'all went and did something, you didn't do it without any kind of due
All they-
diligence, then
All they tell me is that, like, tell her to document everything you're doing, that way we find no fault. Photograph, document, whatever we have to do, so.
I know, but then you're worried about if you forgot to dot an I, and then they say, oh, you didn't dot this I, so we're gonna pull the funding,
We dealt with
and
it
we're screwed.
Yeah, and that's the issue. You know, in the past, when we've had federal declaration, it was all our own labor. You know, that we just had document personnel time and expenses and overtime and stuff like that. And I would bring it in a consultant and a contractor. We want to make dang sure we're doing it correctly, so.
Also, in Region F, 13 counties, we had the highest in Cole County for our damages, so we got hit worse.
So just one other thing, I mean, if you guys think that those other 2 alternates have you know, possibly could go less, I mean, I wouldn't mind at least bidding those, and, you know, if they cost us $7,500, I think, you know, that could be a gamble worth taking, you know, I mean, it might speed up the process, it might help the contractor do it quicker, I mean, shot rock is always probably the easiest, but sometimes you may have to go deeper or whatever if you gotta stabilize it, so, but, I mean, that's something I'd look to
Hopefully
you
Friday,
guys.
or whenever we get to meet this week, Bob Burke, sounded like he wants to meet this week with us, so, you know, we'll be back to you if he says we can do the alternates, or if we can't, we'll be back with you and say, do you wanna go ahead and eat that cost so we can possibly see if we can get a better bid off one of the other options, so.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks for the update. I was wanting you to say you'd have it fixed next week. But it is what it is.
Other issues, I got a
Thanks,
little bit
Larry.
of correspondence that I've received. We give money for first responders to the county and then to the Jeff City Fire Department. And then I guess for a couple of years, they didn't request it, so we didn't give it to them. So when Matt Schofield became chief, he said, how come we're not getting our money? I said, you don't request it. Here's the first request for first responders, and he'll send, he wants to make sure we got in the budget.
Request for 16?
Yes.
Yeah, so he's on the ball there. Got a letter from Campo, and Jeff and Larry are on it. They're increasing their board to 13 members, and we need to come up with a small city representative. So,
I'd say the only one that's right now that's been active in it is St. Martin's.
Doug Reese, you think, or?
I want to double check with Wardsville, but what I would recommend doing is we alternate each year, or maybe 2 years, because I don't
Takes a
know.
while to learn the process.
Yeah, I've been on there 6 years and I still don't know, and I'm chairing it. So I gotta admit though, the city staff down there does a hell of a job for us. I guess they made me look pretty good up there. As long as I can get the meeting done in about 20 minutes, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
Until we talk about bylaws, and it's a mess.
Yeah. And the only other thing I got is from the NAACP, their 52nd annual Freedom Fund dinner is October 3rd. And I will go.
Where's that at? Here in Jeff?
It's at Capitol Plaza. Yeah, $50. I talked to Carrie about maybe doing a table for city and county. So.
I like free dinners. You paying, you said? Oh, you didn't mention that one.
Well,
I hate to bring up the NID. I don't think we got an answer as far as whether we're going to foot the construction on any of these projects, or do you want to punt the ball and let these NIDs take care of the construction part of it and the permanent financing, obviously, they're gonna do. The question before you is whether we want to have any part of doing the construction, and it's my recommendation to not do the construction. Obviously, it's up to you guys, but for funding purposes, not only in public works, sales tax, but even in general, there's many things that you guys are looking at doing countywide, which maybe the windows, maybe not, with some of the maybe extra.
Basically, I don't want to do it. I'll just stop you right there. You
Okay.
can stop with any dog and pony show. I don't know if y'all are leaning towards doing that. I don't. I mean, I think it's going to encumber money that we'll have tied up. We really won't be able to.
Well, I
do
think
it.
you have to look at the future too. I mean, if you have other people that come and request this, you are giving these people a little bit of a benefit if you
I
do
understand,
it.
but
So
you can look at each one individually.
Yes.
I mean, even though we used to do it, doesn't mean we have to do it now. We do things different than we did 2 years ago. You know, the commission's changed, so that can be up to each one of them.
I just think that if you're going to do that, you need to have some guidelines that you somewhat look
Yeah,
at.
I think maybe we need to create some guidelines for future, 'cause NIDs are really a great way to get roads done. So
I personally like to put that into sales taxes, that we pay something towards helping I don't care if it's $10,000 to help them get started on the NIDs, because for them to improve their roads, and a lot of them are wanting them done, and they keep requesting it.
And make sure you realize that the more you do approve and take into the county, the more we have to maintain.
Right,
So.
the more roads.
But
we have in
Larry
the
can do
system.
that.
And the
With
more
no
debt that we
increased
have.
sales tax, no increase on the tax levy that we've been doing, it puts a bigger burden on that department.
And there is a debt to the county that we record for those NIDs. As long as we're carrying that, it is a debt to the county. Even though we are not paying them back, it is still recorded as debt on our financial statements.
So,
I don't know, what were you leaning towards, Chris, on it?
Well, I just, I mean, as we look at this, and of course, none of us have done this before, and you guys haven't either, and so, you know, as we go forward, yeah, the worst thing that we're out is the engineering costs. I mean, basically, and they put up the money, and so, I mean, I always hope that our estimates on our projects are always good, but, you know, we have had some costs that I think have come within that 10 or 20%, but, you know, you never know when you're gonna find an endless hole, you know, that could
I've thought about that a lot, and I put a lot of time into putting that estimate together. There's always the unknown, but, I mean, I padded it pretty good, plus they padded it whenever they figured their stuff, the extra 25%. You know, yeah, you could get into a big hole and all this stuff, but we could, you know, as an alternative, we could figure some other things, and I think it can be, engineering can be pretty cheap.
Okay.
It's just to go out and do it, and the only unknown is you don't know what contractor's gonna bid.
Right.
That's probably my bigger concern.
So but I mean, aren't we gonna lay that out in the engineering, what we want?
I'm sorry, how much they're gonna bid it for.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I
Okay.
think we can get it pretty close to this is what we're gonna
Right.
do, and.
Okay.
You know, the cost, we've been seeing costs steadily creep up over the last 12 months, you know. Not only in our projects, but city projects, you know, we've seen costs starting to come back up. The economy's starting to turn around a little better, so there's more work out there, which means.
Well, it just seems like everybody's busy too. I mean, they're just slammed. And so when they're busy, their prices are gonna go up, so.
We probably do need to create some kind of a policy.
You might talk, was it Joy or was that Tony that had the policy?
Either one of them could write it for us. I know Joy has written our reserve policies for us before. So I could ask her what she would charge to come up with one. If I knew the direction, you know, of the construction part of it, We flat don't fund any, or we're gonna put an X amount, we'll fund projects that are under 50,000. I don't know if there is any ever. We had one at one time, that Thomas Drive, that's like 30,000, but that's totally up to you guys. And I'd hate to put a dollar figure on it. We don't know what our situation is gonna be from year to year to year. We could update the policies, but I would just stay out of the funding of construction. This is what these landowners wanna do. We are taking a responsibility and we are taking a burden on, even though it is statutorily we have to. So, I would just, the policy
Yeah.
would be not to fund the construction at this time.
That's the way I feel. 'Cause we're looking at windows, we're looking at future expansion. I mean, we got,
And we're still offering a benefit to the landowners because our costs, ours inspection and administrative costs, we're not charging. That is a viable cost that can be charged against it, but, you know, we've always felt that, you know, that was part of public works, you know. We do it for new development, as well as, you know, existing ones, so.
I mean, I don't disagree that maybe there should be a policy, but, I mean, I think we have some policies that in place with maybe ever taking county roads or, you know, in my opinion, you know, I wouldn't allow somebody to build a private road for a subdivision. I'd tell them no. I mean, look, you're gonna have to put storm sewer in, you're gonna have to do all this stuff, and if you wanna put a subdivision in,
Some
then.
counties won't even take, no matter what, if they're built to standards. I know some counties won't take additional roads, they just say, well,
They can't afford to.
Well, you don't have to take the private roads. If they don't want to put curb and gutter on there or sewer on there, you don't have to. If you're gonna make them and require them to do it, you're gonna pass that on to the homeowner, which, you know, in the nicer subdivisions, they do that. But in the other ones, and we've got some of them out in Wardsville, they kind of prefer just to have a long driveway. They'll take care of it themselves until it needs to be paved again.
Well, I'm okay with a long driveway, I mean, but, you know, a long driveway then gets subdivided, and now all of a sudden it's a small subdivision, and then next thing you know, they're wanting to do an NID.
I know, like real nice homes off of Scruggs Station out there, that's all privately maintained.
That's buyer beware.
Saddlebrook is over there.
I mean, I don't mean to be mean about it, but when you get ready to buy something,
Mhm.
because they'll tell them, yeah, the county's gonna take this road over, and we've never even looked at the road apart from putting it on a plat. But that's what people will tell them, just get their house sold.
Yeah, and that's what I think's happening in a couple of these cases, that the developer said, oh, the county take it over after we get it done, you know, but if we're not built to our standards, we can't, good conscience, recommend you all do that, you know, the roads are gonna be a disaster for us. We've got enough problems of our own without taking on additional.
I'm good with just financing it all, so just
For
move
money.
forward, yeah,
Mhm.
with construction financing and everything. There's no point in us doing it, I mean, if there's no
That's what I
benefit.
prefer.
Yeah,
If we
I
could,
think,
it might, I would, just for us, give us something that's kind of like the road and bridge, you know, if we do establish a policy, you know, it's subject to change, they're all living documents, but that give us some ground, you know, it's policy at this time, that, you know, the NID has to finance construction as well as the final bond. That way, you know, it gives us something we can go out and talk and points. Right now, we have to say, well, you have to talk to the commission, but, you know, we had a policy stating that, you know, unless it's changed, right now, the NIDs would have to finance it completely.
That's where I'm gonna lean, unless there's some absolute benefit to us taking over the road. I wouldn't be apt to finance any of it ourselves.
Okay, well, I'll call Joy and Tony and let them know that we will not be financing any of the construction part. And talk to them maybe about what their policies look like, what they would charge, or, you know, if she could give me a copy of some policies so we can move forward.
Why can't the policy just say that NIDs must
Well, I
fund
think-
their own through the financing departments?
Well, I think when a group would come to Public Works, they would like to know step by step, what do we do to get an NID ready? In my mind, that's kind of what I was thinking, more of a policy that lays it all out. This is how Cole County's gonna handle NIDs going.
And we've got most of the stuff,
No, we're gonna be updating it just because we're going through it. You know, the policy guides that we've got, or guideline pamphlets we hand out, we've got some, but we'll be updating those, and if one of them is that they have finance both construction and we'll just add that to what we hand out to people.
Oh, okay, you
Call and
got
ask.
some. Let's see that.
Yeah, and I'd like to see it even include that, you know, that $1,000 or the fees included with the petition.
We can
You know,
add that. If we can get, like I said, if we can just get a draft, you know, we can possibly work on, you know.
Fixing
making
it for Cole
yeah,
County.
Fixing it for Cole County, and then go forward and get Jill to look at it and see, make sure to get her blessing on it.
good.
Okay. Anything else, Deb?
Speaking of the access control that we were talking about earlier, the software that will run the system, basically the one computer or that would house all of our buildings, and then each building would find a computer within that building to house their building's access, their people in and out. Donnie currently is the one I was thinking, and he's willing to do it, although his computer sits on the state's file server. I would like to buy a $500-600 computer and have this be the county's computer for him to access all the buildings, to him to have control over that. And also I want to put the BSNA on there, because it does become a very big issue with him as far as upgrades every 15 days and having to go to OSCA to get permission to get this update on there. So if you guys don't mind, $500 computer, and we'll get Donnie set up for that. Just, we have the money, so I just wanted to let you know.
I'm good.
Also,
You guys good with that?
projector here. Oh.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Skipping right over it.
Oh, I just.
You gonna keep going?
I didn't hear a big no.
She didn't hear a big no, so she's just keeping going. She's spending money.
Yeah, I'm spending my projector in here. This is
I guess
7,
I'm
8 years
fine
old.
with it.
Okay. Two, so it's going. This projector in here, it's 7, 8
I'm
years
telling you, I'll
old.
get you a chair up here.
No. And this, we want to go away, and this trip
I can
hazard
take care of
here.
that right now.
Okay, because it doesn't,
So you can go wireless.
it is wireless. And so, again, it's only 500.
I only brought that up 2 years
$600.
ago when we was doing wireless stuff.
Well,
And
we
I'm
had
more
wireless, but it's still.
technologically challenged than anybody else.
So what are you needing?
Just, I want you to know that I like to do that too.
You're gonna do screen?
Yeah.
I've decided we're gonna do this.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry. Set a chair in there.
I've already ordered it, it's in my office, I just wanted you to know.
How come y'all can't make decisions any other time?
Sorry.
Where you wanna go eat? I don't care.
I didn't think that.
They ought to name a restaurant, I don't care. That way you can just, the
Yeah.
place would be packed.
You're right. You're right.
Okay.
I go through that. No, anything else?
I move we recess till 4:30.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Me and the budget.
Sam's got them. I passed them down.